that continues to take a heavy toll on the health and financial well-being of Americans: high prescription drug prices. This uniquely American problem has U.S. families paying the highest price compared to other countries, leading to millions of Americans having to leave their pharmacists without their prescription drugs left on the table. No one should have to go into debt to buy prescription drugs that they need to stay healthy, productive, and have a healthy life. 29% of Americans either cannot afford their prescription drugs or are rationing them. And the U.S. stands alone in this among the developed nations of the world. The U.S. spends approximately $575 billion annually on prescription drugs, or about 14% of the total health care expenditures. In 2019, the U.S. spent, on average, $1,126 per capita on prescription medicines, twice as high as the comparable amount spent in the industrial world. Americans and Marylanders are struggling to pay their prescription drug medications, and it's long past the time for Congress to remedy this problem. Prescription drugs have been life-saving for millions, but if they're not affordable, then their benefit is moot. High prescription drug prices drive health inequalities that we're fighting to eradicate, since groups in fair or poor health most struggle to afford their medications. For years, Congress has been working on common-sense solutions to increase access to affordable prescription medications, reducing costs for patients and taxpayers. It is now time to act. U.S. prescription drug prices are set through an opaque process by manufacturers, pharmaceutical benefit manufacturers, and payers. Prices are often disconnected from the health impacts of the products being purchased. Opponents of addressing the high-cost drug price claim that more affordable prices will come at the expense of innovation. I say, and the research agrees, this is a false choice. To ensure access to innovative treatments and prescriptions, the United States government makes significant investments in biomedical research, and the presiding officer knows that very well from his position on the Appropriations Committee. No greater example of this investment is the National Institutes of Health, located in our home state of Maryland, which is the world's largest government funder of biomedical research. Almost all drugs rely on NIH-supported basic research, and the returns on these investments are very high. Researchers from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology have found that for every $125 million of NIH grants leads to $375 million more in private market value, 33 more patents, and 1 new drug. Another study estimates that the rate of return on NIH investments is 43%, and that each dollar NIH funding leads to an additional $8.40 in private research and development spending. So the government investments are well done. It leverages a lot more, but the government's the key player. Further, the Small Business Innovation Research and the Small Business Technology Transfer, SBIR, STTR programs also support innovation. SBIR, STTR currently are the largest U.S. federal government programs supporting small businesses to conduct research and development. SBIR began in 1982 and currently requires that each federal agency spending more than $100 million annually on external research set aside 2.3% of those funds for awards to small businesses. SBIR is very selective, with only about 22% of the applicants receiving funding. For many small firms, the SBIR serves as the first place many entrepreneurs are involved in technology innovation where they get their funding. Through the SBIR STTR program, NIH supports drugs innovations by setting aside more than 3.2% of its overall intramural research and development budget, specifically to support early-stage small businesses through the nation. Many companies leverage this NIH funding to attract the partners and investors needed to take an innovation to the market. For example, Amgen, which was founded in 1980, received SBIR investments in 1986. Today, it is a multinational biopharmaceutical company with over 20,000 employees. Despite these significant taxpayer investments, prescription drugs are often priced at levels that limit access to life-saving drugs, particularly among those who are underinsured or uninsured. Even after accounting for the costs and risks of research and development, evidence shows the returns to new products exceed normal rates of return. Drug companies continue to raise prices on consumers without justification, and we must crack down on price gouging and enforce transparency in drug pricing. That is why I strongly support the policies the Senate Finance Committee recently released, which comprise of comprehensive reform to lower prescription drug prices for Americans. One policy included in this package that I have long supported is empowering Medicare to begin negotiating directly for the price of prescription drugs. This is just common sense. This is what businesses do. This is a free market. We negotiate. In the private sector, no plan sponsor or manager would ever accept responsibility without the ability to decide how to negotiate. No private sector company would parcel themselves out in order to negotiate. They would use their full size as a market force. We don't do that in Medicare. Medicare negotiations will ensure that patients with Medicare get the best deal possible on high-priced drugs. Another policy I support in prescription drug affordability is capping Medicare patients' out-of-pocket costs to no more than $2,000 per year. Today, there is no cap on spending for prescription drugs for seniors on Medicare. This policy will prevent Medicare beneficiaries from paying tens of thousands of dollars to purchase life-saving drugs prescribed by their doctors. The policies I've just outlined, along with additional forms, and there are several others that are included in this package, including putting a required rebate if a drug manufacturer increases their price beyond the cost of inflation. There's other issues here to protect the solvency long-term of the prescription drug benefits and Medicare beneficiaries. This will make prescription drugs affordable for individuals and families who desperately need it. I urge all my colleagues to come together to address this urgent issue. We have done the work. Now it is time to vote, getting these savings back into our constituents' pockets.